This episode of Legendary is brought to you by WildStar. For 20% off on your pre-order, just go over to gamebreaker.tv/deals.
Gamebreaker TV.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to Legendary, episode 169 for April 24th, 2014. Coming up on today's show, more Garrison news, a ton of PvP information from the latest WoW source, and BlizzCon was announced. All that moving first. From all over the interwebs, everywhere, Olivia D. Grace. What's up, Liv?
Hi.
That's it.
That was a little creepy. Hi, Backraid.
Hi.
Oh, no. What am I in store for? What's up, everybody? What's going on?
I don't know.
I don't know.
We're a little goofy tonight.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Little goof.
Yeah.
Little goof. Everybody's a little goof.
Yep. That's
Nice.
right.
Little true.
Nice. Everybody feeling okay?
What?
Everybody feeling okay?
What? Are you doing this? Are you doing this like Chris Watt or something?
Brad?
I don't know. No, I'm
all right.
Showing
First
my
off,
age with cartoons.
some of us love it, some of us hate it. We all been watching it. Azeroth Choppers episode 2 now on the interwebs.
Yeah.
Are you guys still keeping up on it? You keeping up on your? Got to keep up on your Azeroth Choppers.
It's only the second one. It's not like we have to really keep up on it quite yet, Gary.
Hey,
But,
I don't know. Liv probably didn't even watch this one. She may not.
She probably didn't. I don't think she did.
You didn't watch it, did you, Liv?
No, I didn't watch it. I didn't. I was going to watch it, and then Pat was like, "Oh, they introduced the teams, and there was some kind of drama in it." I was like, "Oh, well, that's all I need to know. Cool. That's enough to do the show.
They
That's enough to do Legendary."
They introduced both teams, and then there was a little bit of drama, just a hint of drama. Really.
It's only ever a hint. There's always got to be some drama, though. In these,
That is the formula. That is the formula to make a great webisode. I don't know. All right, Pat. Liv's out of this one. She didn't even watch it.
Yeah.
What'd you think of it?
So, it was. I mean, it's another segment, and we get to meet the teams a little bit, which is kind of cool. They have not yet started building the bikes. They just have the frames. Just like always, but now they have the teams, and the teams have the artwork, so hopefully we'll be able to see something in the next episode. They did start
building the bikes, though. They started cutting some metal, drawing some things a little bit. They gotta get,
they showed a guy like fabricating something, but we don't know exactly what it was. He just
was it some tank tracks for a snowmobile? Was that what he was making?
They did do the tank stuff, right? So they started building the tanks a little bit, but I don't know.
Man, you guys are harsh critics. See, I like motorcycles. I like WoW.
I like motorcycles.
Now
I'm like,
I'm really intrigued to now I'm even more intrigued to start seeing where these guys take it. Like they're talking about sort of what it's going to look like and stuff, but now I'm like envisioning it. Like I think these things are going to just look like completely badass. I don't know.
I'm hoping.
I have to say, if they brought out the Alliance one and it had looked like what I imagined it would look like, I'd probably be more interested in watching it. But it looks like a snowmobile.
Oh, that was all it is. If it looked like what Olivia D. Grace wished it looked like, she would watch. But since it doesn't look like what Olivia D. Grace wishes she would look like, she's just not going to watch it. That's it.
But I mean, I'm not the target audience for this anyway.
You think?
How are you? I still don't buy that.
Huh?
I still don't buy that you're not the target audience. If you play World of Warcraft, you're pretty much the target audience.
Well, I mean, when you're talking about motorcycles, though, I mean, you kind of go towards a different crowd, and especially when you have Paul Jr. on there as the design guy. I mean, it's a reality show as well, so you're kind of going toward that market as well. So it doesn't necessarily hit everybody, and I know a lot of gamers that don't actually watch a ton of TV. So there's that as well. I mean, these are at least short segments, so it's pretty easy to keep up on.
Yeah.
But
I am one of those gamers, and I don't watch TV. And when I do watch TV, I certainly don't watch reality TV that's like artificial drama and made up shenanigans. It's like, I'm not interested in this. If I'm going to watch it, I'll watch a documentary.
So you're one of those people that tries to better themselves through video. How dare you?
I watch certain shows, like I watch sort of stupid drama, stupid, like completely made up stuff, but I don't really like reality TV very much, and like I don't like the whole format, and
right,
yeah, it's like, no, I love motorbikes. I really like motorbikes. I like building stuff. I just don't like this show or reality TV. It's like I didn't like the American Choppers either. It's not Azeroth Choppers that I don't like.
Right,
like, it's American Choppers that I don't like. It's the whole thing.
It's the entire genre. And I totally hear you on that, too, because, I mean, there are a lot of reality shows out there that are not really all that strong. This one, at least, the drama is very tempered, and it's not really drama. I mean,
that's what I'm sort of feeling. Like, there's a little bit of drama, but it's like it's not as. I'm not a fan of reality TV either, to be honest with you.
Right.
But I don't know. I don't know. I kind of feel like it's a big deal.
It's not over the top or anything, Gary. I mean, no, it's just they bumped up the deadline for when they need a finished bike.
They cut it in half. Dun dun dun.
Yeah. Right. And that's actually a pretty big deal for those guys. That means they have to do the entire build in like 2 weeks.
Hang on, who cut the deadline? Blizzard cut the deadline, or Paul Jr. cut the deadline?
No,
Blizzard cut the deadline.
Blizzard said, we have 5 weeks.
How about the script writer 6 months before the show ever got shot?
Exactly.
Hey, you gotta build a little bit into it. If not, it's just some guys and some sheet metal and some equipment, and it's freaking boring. They don't even have a show. It's like, hey, I'm cutting this piece. Hey, what are you doing? I'm cutting a piece of metal. Oh, that looks great. Right.
That looks perfect. We'll put it
in. Nice piece of metal. All right, good. I've got wood experience. I'm gonna make a tusk. All right, cool. Good.
All right, let's go. I've met an elephant. I'll make a tusk. Okay, let's do it.
Sure.
Artificial drama. That's kind of indicative of what I'm just like about with reality TV as well. It's definitely not just this. It's not like I don't have a personal hatred towards Blizzard.
The good thing about reality shows, though, is that they have tons of B-roll. So they just have tons of just like some guy just sitting there hammering something. We don't even know what it is. His back is turned to us. We can't see it at all. Just him hammering away, and they'll cut to it every single episode, time after time. And we'll see this guy cutting this metal piece at least 3 times during the 8 shows that are going to be coming out in the next few weeks here. So,
Liv's like a TV hipster. Liv, are you a TV hipster? You're like a reality hipster.
Am I a reality? How does one be a reality hipster?
I don't know.
Do you remember
what
the show?
One of those is.
I
watched Big Brother when it first came out in the UK. I guess that's like one of the first reality shows, and I was just like I liked it when they were just like, right, this is a social experiment. We just put all these people in this house. We're going to see what happens.
And nobody knew what it was, and you were there first. That was
what happened is the people actually got like they put this one guy in who was a complete git, and apart from him, they all got along really well. And like it was all actually quite fun, and they were like, right, we need to start creating some artificial drama here because this isn't very entertaining. And then I was like, okay, as soon as they start creating artificial drama, I'm much less interested in this. Like, this is just my personal thing. It's just like I don't like have a problem with people who like reality. I watch Chopped, if that counts as reality TV.
Not really. No, that's more competition show, right?
Okay, well then I don't watch reality TV. That's the closest I could do.
And I get it, because I mean, a lot of reality TV shows really don't try to make things better. I mean, I think that there are very few that do. So I totally get it. The ones that do, I have a tendency to like a lot more.
The ones that try to make the world a better place.
Well, yeah. I mean, you can talk about Biggest Loser or something like that, where they're actually trying to change lives a little bit. So I don't know.
Yeah, for sure. I don't know. Like I don't have an inherent issue with it. I just don't like watching it. Like, I have no problem with people who do. Like, it's great, awesome, fantastic, support the industry, great. Like, have fun. It's not my thing.
But Chopped is awesome. I will say that.
I love cooking shows. I really like cooking shows because I really like cooking. And I like learning how to make learning how to make stuff. So yeah, they're good. But outside of that, I play a ton of computer games. God,
you don't want to learn how to fabricate you don't want to learn how to fabricate a tank?
No, I want to learn how to play Stitches in Heroes.
I would love to learn how to fabricate a tank. I drove a tank once. It's really fun.
Wow.
Well, the best thing that has to come out of Azeroth Choppers has to be this.
So I'd like to introduce Team Horde to you. I'm Sam Didier.
He's so fluffy, I'm gonna die!
Go Team Horde. The rest, go home.
It's so fluffy!
It's so fluffy!
He is
I love
very
that video
fluffy.
so much. I've watched that video like that video's got like 6,500 views. I swear that 5,900 of them are just me, just refreshing that video. I love that video so much. The guy who made it actually regularly watches Legendary. So
I'd like to
hi,
introduce
Scotty,
Team
good
Horde
job.
to you. I'm Sam Didier.
Yeah.
He's so fluffy!
Go Team Horde. The rest, go home.
It's so fluffy!
He is so fluffy.
He is so fluffy. They even
so
linked
fluffy.
that in the official Q&A, which went with the show today. They're like,
Did they really?
Fluffy Sam did in the it's like the so fluffy Sam did. Just scroll down, like top paragraph, second line down, very top. Second line down,
so
the
fluffy.
So fluffy Sam Didier. They actually linked him.
Ah,
That's hilarious. He is so funny.
I like that.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome.
All right, moving on. It's enough. It's enough of the hatred for motorbikes. BlizzCon.
Oh, BlizzCon.
You've been waiting for the date. You're pushing the Zarheim. He had it.
Oh.
He knew it. He knew it at that very moment.
Yeah.
If you guys have not heard, BlizzCon has been announced. It's November 7th and 8th. It is, of course, in Anaheim, California, where it is as usual. And as usual, tickets are now $199 instead of last year's $175. Yep. Now $200 to go to the BlizzCon.
Yep.
I assume everyone here is going.
Didn't do my best to, yeah. Like, sure.
Hotel and flights already booked.
Oh,
Yay!
snap.
So there. All I need now are tickets.
Yeah, really.
So
Is it like, is $200 like I haven't paid to go to any other is that like it's a lot more than Gamescom? That's all I know. Is that just how much conventions cost over here in the States?
Conventions are all over the place. Conventions are, some of them are, I went to one a few weeks ago that was $75, but some of them are like $2,500. So it really
Wow,
depends
what's $2,500? Like,
if you wanted to,
just
well, if you
curious.
wanted to go to the Game Developers Conference, if you want to go to GDC and go to all the tracks and all the keynotes and stuff, it's like a full pass.
Yeah.
It's like, it's a couple grand.
Right. So it's like pay to get in, and then you pay for more and more stuff on top of that.
Dice, I think, is about $3,000, maybe a little more for Dice.
PAX
But
is pretty expensive too, I think, right?
PAX,
Is it? I mean, it's not that. It's not like that. It's not that.
No, those are more like, the industry ones. The fan ones are usually a bit cheaper. I think 200 is, it's a bit on the high side, but I mean they do a really good job. I mean, I spent $100, I went to. Yeah, I mean, when I went to this last one for $100, they didn't have like Blink or Ozzy or
that's
Foo
true. They do have a
Fighters.
band. Like if you wanted to go and see Blink 182, that might cost you like.
That's at least like $75, right? Probably
Yeah.
60, 75 right there.
Yeah, yeah, and then maybe they'll have a different band this year, but. Do you reckon?
Well, I didn't go. I didn't go to Blink 182 last year.
I didn't go either. I didn't. I went drinking instead.
Yeah, yeah.
Here's the question.
That was more important.
Pat.
What?
Do you reckon Warlords will be out before BlizzCon?
That is the question, isn't it?
That is the big question.
Now, I seem to recall before BlizzCon last year that the big prediction from me, anyway, was that the very next day, or that at BlizzCon, I was like, wouldn't it be great if they said, oh yeah, and beta is playable today, starting today. And that was for BlizzCon 2013. I'm hoping that by BlizzCon 2014,
It's released today.
That we will hear, yes, it is released
It's
a
actually out.
month or two ago.
Yeah.
That's what I'm hoping for.
Man, if it's not released, it's going to be so bad. Like, my God, like I know it could hypothetically be like, all right, here is BlizzCon, and here is the release of Warlords of Draenor. Remember how we told you about this last year? We're using the same expansion again for another BlizzCon.
Yeah,
But
Yeah.
I really hope, my God, I hope it releases before.
Oh,
But like,
I mean,
if it
there's
releases
no-
before,
what is
does
that?
that mean that they're...
There's
Sorry, go
no
ahead,
way
Gareth.
there's no way they would ever release it while you're at BlizzCon, because everyone just
No.
at BlizzCon would just be like, "What? I want to go
But they've
play
got to be
it. This
careful
is
as well.
terrible."
Yeah, they've got to be careful as well, because like if they release it too close to BlizzCon, people would be like, no, screw it, I'm not doing this. I'm just gonna like sit at home and play Warlords.
And
I just
and
suppose if
that's-
they bought tickets, they'll just.
I do think, you know, now that we kind of have a better understanding of the timeline of how things kind of roll out. I mean, I do think that August, September makes sense. You know, obviously it wasn't November last year, so so now I'm looking at August, September, going that would be enough times between the release of Warlords and BlizzCon, in my opinion. That way it's not too close
like,
to it.
September, I think August, September would be fine. Like then it's not too close. My
Right.
worry is actually like a bunch of people we've been talking about it with like the various WoW websites I work for, and people have been like, oh, what if they release the next what if they announce the next expansion, and then everyone will be like, oh, we finally got Warlords, but this looks so much cooler.
I think that would be that'd be a little too close. I think that's a little
Yeah,
too
I can't
close.
believe they would.
I can't imagine that they would do that. I mean, that seems pretty ridiculous. They have so many other different titles that they can talk about now too. So
Yes.
I mean,
yeah, for
which
sure.
is
Like,
really great.
I can totally see Heroes actually releasing around BlizzCon, for example.
That seems
Oh,
like
that'd
that
be
seems like the
great.
big release. That seems like
Yeah.
the big news.
Yeah.
like Legacy of the Void informational release. What else we could see? Well, like there's these two like sort of secret projects which are floating around. Like there's this one. There's obviously like Titan has been shelved, but there's this other secret project floating around that they had the trademark for a little while ago, the Overwatch trademark.
Oh,
And
right.
that could be something. Like
Yeah.
that could be something that comes out at BlizzCon. There could be a Hearthstone expansion. Like there's so much going on for Blizzard right now, and I don't think they need
Which is-
to announce another WoW expansion so shortly
No.
after Warlords.
No, they really should stay away from that.
Yeah. Can you imagine
that
how
would be
bad
bad.
that would be? Yeah,
Right.
for sure.
Do they need a really big thing? Heroes probably releases. They just did Reapers, so they're probably not going to talk much about Diablo.
No.
Yeah,
Hearth-
I mean, if
Hearthstone and Heroes, I think, are going to be the big ones for
Is
this
Hearth
BlizzCon.
is a Hearthstone expansion really big news that people are really going to?
Yeah, it would have
oh,
to be
that's
pretty,
cool.
pretty game changing. Like it would have to be like I don't know, it would have to be for me. It would have to be a different franchise, like a Diablo Hearthstone expansion or
That'd be
a StarCraft Hearthstone expansion, something along those
Yeah, it
lines
seems like-
that they actually completely branched out to something new. Because otherwise, like I don't feel like people will be getting their $200 worth, you know? Because
Right.
like a bunch of the discussion around the price is that people are like, oh, okay, but what are they actually going to be talking about for what am I going to get for my $200? And I feel that's kind of reasonable. Like it's not a huge price hike. Of what you guys have been saying, it's kind of de facto for like conferences to be around there somewhere. But
Right.
like it's kind of a case of, well, what am I going to get? You know, playable Heroes of the Storm. Like most people who want to play it I can't imagine that they're going to string out this small alpha for that long. And like people being invited to that all the time. And one of the big problems which is Heroes is having at the moment is it needs more people. Like you need more people in the queue.
Oh, yeah.
So
Way more.
like, yeah, way more. And it's just like, I can't believe they're going to string that out. So everyone will have played Heroes. And then like, okay, so Hearthstone,
StarCraft
maybe a
really needs
Diablo
some
one.
love, though. StarCraft really needs some
StarCraft,
love.
yeah.
It does.
StarCraft
It really does.
needs some
10
attention.
years? Was it like 10 years to StarCraft 1 and StarCraft 2, like up to StarCraft 2 or something like that? I'm not the most pro
Yeah.
person on StarCraft.
I think it's going to be
But yeah, like,
I think it's going to be a
Legacy-
StarCraft heavy year. I think that's what it'll probably be this year. That'll probably be the
That'd be
big,
cool.
Yeah.
big hype. It
And there's
seems
going to be
like
a
it
ton of
needs it.
esports as well. I've heard that there's going to be they were talking about like on the announcement, like a ton of esports, like Heroes of the Storm and Hearthstone and WoW Arenas and a StarCraft tournament. And obviously the Hearthstone, like I mentioned, Hearthstone, they've already been talking about their tournaments. There's going to be a ton of esports, live esports people to watch. So maybe it'll be a bigger focus on that as well.
Well, and
You know
remember
the-
last year after BlizzCon, they actually sent out that little questionnaire saying, would you pay to just see esports and then have like another ticket for just like all the other stuff? So maybe that is really going to be the biggest focus
Yeah.
change of BlizzCon 2014. So
Yeah,
that'd be
and
interesting.
Terrorize in chat also mentions, of course, we're forgetting about the Warcraft movie. There was
right.
wow, it's some kind of weird like Pat Olivia merge there for a second. That was crazy.
There it is right there. was the first
Yeah,
picture we've
that's-
seen.
Exactly, yeah. So there's a lot. Maybe the Warcraft movie will like premiere at BlizzCon or something. That would be cool.
No,
No?
Come on.
no.
I mean we're still gonna be a year away from release of
Sorry,
the
yeah, no,
Warcraft
you're right.
movie. So
I forgot about the 2015 release date.
2015 will be they'll sneak
Yeah.
some like a scene or something like that.
Yeah, sorry, my bad. I totally forgot about that. But maybe we'll get some more information or some teasers or trailers or something.
Well, we might be able to talk to some of the stars and some of the cast and whatever director again. So I think that'll happen for sure.
So you guys have both
Yep.
you've both been to BlizzCon now, maybe multiple times. Thinking about it for a second, price increase. Do you think there's anything they could do different to kind of switch it up? I mean, this is going to be like my third or fourth, and not to say that BlizzCon is ever bad. It's usually always a good time, but it literally feels the same. Like it's the same layout. It's the same. Like they almost. It's almost like they put even the Blizzard artwork and like statues in the same spot. It just feels like you've been there every time you go. It just nothing has changed except what they're playing on the computer change. You think they could do anything better? Would you like to see them mix it up and maybe have something kind of outside the box they've never done before?
Gary, BlizzCon is all about the parties. Let's face it, it's not about the actual con itself. It's about the parties. So I'm doing everything in my power to make sure that... I mean, last year we had the Convert to Raid party, and it was friggin' sweet and completely hot and sweaty.
It was very hot.
You
guys need a bigger room this year.
It was an incredible mess. So we're working on it for this year. We're already in deep discussion about what is going to happen for this year's BlizzCon. We are still.
So what's going to happen? Tell us. I'm not in any deep discussion. People are asking in chat already. What's up with the CTR and the Game Breaker parties?
I know. Well, as soon as it was announced, here's what happened. 8,000 guildies all DM'd me on Twitter. I mean, it was just craziness. They were like, oh my God, what is going on? I hopped in game. I got all these different PMs in game, and it's just, and I'm like, guys, I haven't even talked with anybody about this yet. So maybe I should do that.
Maybe I'll do that, and maybe I'll get back to you. Maybe you should just chill out.
So yeah, so we're just starting. Yeah. So we're starting the process. We're figuring everything out. Don't worry, gang. We'll be there. We are planning to have a bigger, better meetup this year as well. So, stay
what is
tuned
anything
for all
you're
of
thinking
that
about that? Like, what did you guys do for you did activities and stuff? We kind of did the live stream thing. And just have random people sit down, and we had giveaways and throwing stuff away. And Livia kept yelling at me because I was going to hurt somebody with all the.
You did, someone. Did I even tell you that someone came back to me after that party was like, Gary hit me in the eye with a cast iron Monopoly piece.
Oh jeez.
That he threw into the crowd.
That was.
It was just like.
We had fun.
I tried to stop him. I'm sorry.
I was just wailing mice at people. I was just
hurling cast iron figurines into the crowd, frisbeeing books into the pool.
Yeah. You actually showed us what not to do, Gary, at our party. So I want to thank you for that.
Don't let Gary Gannon hand stuff out that is anything other than plushies
or
cotton wool, marshmallows,
T-shirts.
T-shirts,
pillows. Cotton candy.
Right.
I can give out cotton candy this year.
Yeah, exactly. No sticks. Just literally balls of it.
Oh.
I've taken up archery, so maybe I could. I don't know. Maybe I could shoot some.
Just sit there. This already sounds like a terrible idea. This
flaming arrows with
there's
books or something.
There's going to be a William Tell moment. There's going to be a William Tell moment, and it's not going to end the same way. It's not going to end well. It's not.
There's going to be no overtures at all. No. You're going to go directly to jail.
I was looking at crossbows the other day.
Oh,
these things are expensive. Oh my God! Who knew a crossbow was that?
What kind of crossbows are you looking at? Because the one I got was
on the
£100.
Internet. They're just hundreds of dollars. I just didn't realize how much of that stuff costs. I'm not
I'd imagine if you were trying to get a serious hunting crossbow, those would be expensive. But the one I got is just a real basic. I guess it would be about $150.
You didn't make it? Crossbow hunter.
She made it. She made it herself.
I crafted it out of metal using my forge.
So I don't know, Pat. Any ideas of what you guys might do different? You going to try and do it and mix it up, or just?
Yeah, we're definitely going to try to mix it up as far as our end of things goes. We're going to try to do a little bit bigger, a little bit better, bring in some more folks, and have a little bit more fun, and really try to keep the. Convert to Raid has always been about energy. I don't know if you know that. We're a pretty energetic crowd. And I think that we'll try to keep that energy going all night and make sure that everybody has a good time. So
yeah, it was great. Like, I had a great time at the Convert to Raid party last year.
Yeah.
Trekkie and I hung out for ages and like geeked out about stuff, and it was really fun. It was just warm. It was my only complaint about the
I was
Convert
just
to Raid
gonna
party.
say I
It was warm.
have one request for the Convert to Raid party: more air conditioning.
no, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. People were standing directly under the air conditioning
Yes.
in that room, and they could not feel it.
Yeah,
It's like you could feel the air coming down, but by the time it reached people, it was warm.
yeah.
Something you don't
Just
want
like-
at the party. Smelly nerds.
No,
You
you do
don't
not.
want that.
So we're looking into taller ceilings.
Oh,
Yay.
good.
That's our solution. So
Taller
Yeah, it's a good idea.
ceilings.
Theory of
we're looking
convection.
at yeah. Exactly.
They do the charity event thing. That thing's gone up as well, right? Did that go up to what?
Yep.
$750? What was
Yeah,
it last?
that's
Was
a
it
bit.
7 or was it 6?
It was 500
It was-
last year.
Yeah, it was
Oh,
5.
really?
Yeah.
Wow, that's a
So
pretty.
what
But
good
then
hike.
it's for charity, you know?
Right.
It's a charity dinner. The whole point is to like give money to stuff. So I don't like it. It's never something that was within my price range anyway, so I was never going to be going to that. I can't afford 500. I definitely can't afford 750.
So you can go
What do
hang
they
out
do
with
for that whole
Metzen.
thing? Is it like you hang out with
Sorry?
a team and you have dinner
Yeah,
with
you
those
have like a
guys
bunch of the
and-
developers go. Like I know when we were doing the part, setting up the guest list for the party last year, a lot of the devs were like, "Oh no, I've got to go to the charity dinner." Excuse me, and that means that they couldn't come to the WoW Insider Game Breaker party. So that was a thing. So I believe it's the devs. Elvine, who's in chat, went to the dinner last year, so I'm sure that he'll elucidate on what exactly went on. But yeah, meal. I think there's a goodie bag. I believe there's a goodie
Yeah.
bag,
Yeah.
and it's just hang out with devs. So there's that. Or you can just come to the parties because they're all there.
Just
Right.
come to our party and Convert to Raid party. That's it. You
That's
come to
right.
these two parties, you'll meet everybody. Now, what's going on here? I've never used it, but people are kind of freaking out about how they're selling tickets this year. So they're selling tickets through
Yeah.
Eventbrite this year instead of the BlizzCon site. Why? Any explanation of why they're switching over to Eventbrite?
None has been offered. Like, I don't
No.
believe they've actually given an explanation of why they're switching over. I can only assume that it relates to how, like, they had some issues last year with the stability of the site. Like, they've historically had some problems with the stability of the site. So they're now taking it to a third party who, like, Eventbrite sells tickets to functions. That's their sole job in life, is to sell tickets to functions. So yeah, I guess that's why they moved it. I don't know. Like, so an explanation would be awesome to make the people who were worried less worried.
Well, why
Well-
are they worried? I mean, like you said, if it's an organization that's sole purpose of a business is to sell tickets, they should hopefully do a better job about it.
But one of the big concerns is that with Eventbrite, there's no queue. So it's not like
Yeah.
there's a big queue system. So you can't like sit there and go, okay, I'm just about to jump in. I'm ready. I've got everything going. No, it's just as it's offered, they'll just open it up and say, okay, here you go, and you go in and you try to purchase tickets. And so
Yeah.
it's a little bit different, and I think people are kind of freaking out about it because we got into this rhythm of, I got to hit F5 so many damn times, and then I just hit OK.
Yeah.
I don't worry about tickets. With this one, you have to do the drop-down menu and order how many tickets you want to order, and so
Yeah, exactly. Like, so again, like actually Elvine, I always say Elvine.
Yeah.
Elvine, who is again chilling out in our chat room right now, has actually been talking to Eventbrite. He's actually he's actually made a contact at Eventbrite because so many people were worried about this. He's like, right, I'm going to take the bull by the horns. I'm just going to get in touch with them. And apparently there was a response saying they didn't actually have issues with Comic-Con, so they were not hosting that. So hopefully it's better. But yeah, he was talking things like about the default ticket quantity. I don't personally quite understand the difference between a queue and a first come first serve. Like, is it just that you can't get a place in the queue? Is that what it is?
I think what it is that you can't see anything, so you
Right.
don't know, as you're going through the process, you don't know where you sit with the rest of the pack because you see that countdown. You are, 5,000th in line, and then you kind of go,
Gotcha.
oh, I'm never going to get in, or, whatever
Yeah.
the case may be. So I think that's the big concern.
Right, so it's kind of like you have to, like, but you still are just waiting for tickets to show up on the page, and once you've got them in your basket, you're good, right? Like, is that
Right.
correct?
That's my understanding. Yeah.
Yeah. I know. I mean, I'm not as worried as everyone else, but then I've also not really stressed about BlizzCon tickets in the past, but I will be this year, so we'll see what happens. Maybe I'll just be like, why?
I wonder if the other reason, like I see some people in chat, I wonder if the other thing that some people are somewhat worried is just because it's just some other party that more scalpers will be hitting it to pick them up. Maybe because it's through Eventbrite. I don't know, and maybe it was just that they maybe weren't as dialed into.
There's a maximum purchase of 4. So maybe that's a helpful thing. I don't know. Is that helpful for helping with scalpers? Like, you can only buy 4 at a time.
Wasn't it the same way with the BlizzCon site?
Yeah.
I think it was.
I feel like it was.
Yeah.
I think it was.
It was a limited number.
I guess the difference being that people thought. No, I think it was 4. I think it was 4.
Oh, okay.
I think it was always 4. I don't know. Chat room will let us know.
Yeah,
I wonder if. I guess I guess before, because you needed to log in and stuff, your battle.net account. And I guess that's like something you don't think scalpers would go through, but they probably would anyway. So I don't know.
They probably would.
I'm sure Blizzard is on top of this and making sure that they've had many conversations with Eventbrite before they just like went ahead and have done this. So I don't know.
Yeah.
But now people are just going to blame Eventbrite when they don't get their ticket.
Right.
Oh, for sure, yeah. At least they're not blaming Blizzard, I guess. Like, that's a thing.
It's one less thing to blame Blizzard
One less thing to blame Blizzard for. One less thing to blame Celestalon for.
Right.
His idea.
Oh yeah, it probably was his idea. Celestalon!
I don't have a cue. All right, so also the same day that they announced BlizzCon, there was a WoW source released, mostly on PvP and class changes, right? So
yeah,
one of the interesting bits on the PvP side was this gear with 2 item levels. The example that Holinka gave was that in PvE, a piece of gear would be about 550, but in PvP, in a PvP situation, the item would actually scale up to 590. I don't know. What do you guys think of this? Does this mean any PvP at all? World PvP?
Yeah. Yeah. Yes, it does. It's World PvP as well, and I'm excited by that. So it's like so there you are, you're like out gathering your flowers or whatever it is you're doing in the world, and like you're wearing this gear, and it's 550 in this example that Helenka gave. But if someone then comes up and ganks you, your gear immediately becomes 590, and like you're under attack from someone, so that's a PvP situation. So your gear scales up, and this is only applicable to PvP gear. Like, that's not the case for your PvE gear. Your PvE gear just stays the same. So what this does, and I'm really excited about this, is what it does is it stops this, it solves a lot of problems with one fell swoop. So it solves the problem of we can't have PvP gear with higher item level than PvE gear, because then people would feel like they had to do that to get the best gear for raids. So the raiders would feel they had to do PvP to get gear, and that's a crappy situation. No one wants that. They also can't have the situation they have right now where raid gear is so far ahead of PvP gear and item level that out in the world, people just get ganked. Like raiders, like a heroic geared raider is the best geared person for world PvP right now, end of story. And like it's better now that Conquest gear has been increased in item level, but go back to what we said before, you can't make Conquest gear too high, otherwise raiders will feel they have to get it. So for world PvP, this is a really neat solution, because it means that your gear is like crappy. It's not crappy, like it's kind of okay for raiding, but like it's then awesome as soon as you get into a PvP situation. It's a really exciting change, and it also fixes the issue with people cheat. Like, do you remember, particularly back in Cataclysm, before they made the change to have PvP power and PvP resilience not detract from primary stats? They made that change, and then people were like, oh, people are just cheating the item level like requirements for dungeons by wearing this PvP gear, which isn't as good. So this also solves that problem, because in a PvE situation, this gear is lower item level. So yeah, it's really good. I think it's a really great solution. Yeah, I'm kind of interested in how they'll display it. Like, that's my only concern, is how they'll display it.
Yeah, it's definitely kind of a weird new thing that that Blizzard has come up with. So we'll see exactly how that kind of gets unveiled in the beta and into the live game sometime before BlizzCon, hopefully, guys. Sometime before BlizzCon would be nice. But yeah, it's kind of cool. It's interesting. It's very interesting. That's all I got from a Raiders perspective. From a Raiders perspective, it's all right. You know, it's good.
It's cute. That's cute.
I don't mind the heroic Raider being awesome in PvP right now, being the best geared. That sounds pretty cool to me.
Yeah, I mean, I just think the gear you get from a given source should be the best gear for being competitive in that environment. So PvE gear should be the best for PvP, excuse me. PvP gear should be the best for PvP, and this goes a long way towards satisfying that demand. And I think it's awesome. My only concern about it, which I sort of touched on a second ago, is that it might be a little confusing for people because, like, if you've got, for sake of argument, you've got a 589 piece of PvE gear, like, just for sake of argument. I'm not saying that these are any kind of numbers that have come from anywhere. And then you want to compare the stats on that to your 590 only in PvP gear. Like, your options are right now, as far as I understand it, Warlords, fly to Ashran and sit by the vendors there so you're in a PvP zone and therefore in the PvP setup of your gear. Wow, I'm 8-bit. Sorry about that, people watching. Or, like, you could just compare the item level. And people will want to compare stats, I feel. Like, the comparisons of just an item level I don't feel like that's enough for people. Like, do you feel like just looking at the item level is enough for people, Pat?
Well, I think the big thing is that this is where the fan sites are really going to come in handy. I mean, places like Ask Mr. Robot and stuff like that, where you're going to be able to. I think they'll be able to break it out a little bit more clearly for people. Yeah. As they need to figure out what it's going to be best for.
Well, I mean, indeed, Wowhead has already launched today a PvP checkbox on all the pieces of gear. So you can already, on Wowhead, you can just go in and compare that gear, scale it up, scale it down, see what you want as you like, really, and look at that gear in all of the Draenor levels. So
you know what's sort of interesting about this?
Something.
Is this what? Kind of apples to oranges, but this starts to skirt what people have been asking for forever, which they always said they wouldn't do, and that was when it came to PvE and PvP. People who always wanted, like, really good balance, they wanted things like even like skills and things like that to change or be adjusted. To have different sets, to have different skill sets for PvE and PvP, and they never want to do it because it's very confusing. This is almost like the first little dipping your toe into confusing people with having a piece of gear that has two sets of stats on it. It's almost like a skill having two sets of stats or being used in different ways for PvE and PvP. If they did that, because the argument is most people want it because they're just like, well, then you could just balance the entire PvE game this way, and then you could just balance the entire PvP game this way, and it would all work, and everybody would be happy. But it'd be mad confusing.
It would be mad confusing, and it makes it hard to cross over, I think. Like, that's the big problem there.
I mean, it already is kind of confusing because one of the things that they do with PvP is they change all the CC stuff from PvE to PvP, and they also change some of the balancing as far as spells go. Is that right, or am I off? Because I don't PvP.
No, you are right. There's already, like, people who say just do this, like, the standard Blizzard response is it's one game, we don't want to do this. But Heroism doesn't work in arenas. Army of the Dead doesn't work in arenas. Lay on Hands doesn't work in arenas. Like, there's already, like, Nitro Boosts don't work in arenas. And it's in rated PvP, so arenas and rated battlegrounds, in random battlegrounds, it's kind of much more of a free-for-all there. But in arenas and rated battlegrounds, you already have a lot of restrictions.
Yeah.
So now it's already happening.
So now we've had the spells change for the last, I mean, since Cataclysm that I've been aware of, where they've really done a lot more of that, and now we're seeing it on the gear side as well. So it's probably a very needed change, and I totally get it, and I think that'll help out with maybe helping the spell side of it, so that you don't have to feel like you need to change stuff as much.
Yeah, and I feel like a big difference, which was sort of like, which we have to mention, is that they're actually getting rid of battle fatigue, and PvP power and PvP resilience are being pulled down to 0. Like, they're not getting rid of resilience, like, they're not taking it away completely. I believe they're taking PvP power away, but that's not been, like, completely confirmed. So the way that your spells actually hit, like, you're not going to be in this weird situation anymore where your Chaos Bolt hits for 2 million in PvE and 170,000 in PvP. Right. So, like, the 80% damage reduction that you currently get from PvP resilience is going. Like, that's gone. So the way that they're working with damage and health scaling is the mitigant for that now. So hopefully that's going to work. And that's a difference that they're removing. I do feel like this gear thing has the potential for being really confusing, and it's just I think it's a good change. Don't get me wrong. I think it's a good change. I think it's a good way to go. I think there are probably other options that I don't doubt that they've considered in great detail before deciding on this one. But I think it has the potential to be really confusing unless it's well presented in the base game, so people don't have to go to Wowhead to figure it out. They don't have to download an add-on to figure it out. It has to be obvious enough in the base UI with no modification how this works, I feel.
That is the big thing with a lot of things going on right now. I mean, there are so many changes going on to the game as we know it, that really, I think they need to step up and be extra clear on everything, with tooltips, with in-game menus and like all the raid guides and stuff like that. They just need to make sure that it's clearly presented, so that new folks kind of get a better understanding of it, and those that are new to these different areas of the game. So
Yep, absolutely.
You guys think? Do you guys think PvP gear could possibly become the best gear for killing world bosses?
That's a bit of a funny one, actually, because like depending on where you are in the expansion, like if you get Conquest, like it's going to take people a little while to get Conquest gear, like to get the full Conquest gear, which is going to be the top gear there. But like if you go out into the world and you're like punching Galleon for sake of argument, and then you get into a PvP situation, all your gear goes from 550 to 590. Like that's a pretty substantial bump. Like, so I know, like I saw Trekkie in chat earlier talking about world first leveling, and it's just like, what about, like, if you're doing the leveling thing, you're going to get your mate from the Horde side to be there so that you guys are riffing off each other and like bumping up your item levels. And
that would be cheater.
The answer to that is that people aren't going to have PvP gear in the world first leveling race. But later on, I mean, you're only going to be able to get this PvP gear on when you're at max level already. But for questing, maybe, like for going out, like say you're trying to kill, what's that rare that walks around where you get the Kovok guy on the quest chain in, what's he called? He's he's a group of 5. I can't remember his name, but anyway, everyone knows the rare I'm talking about. Like if you had someone there to just go and poke you in PvP, and then that would bump up your gear like 40 item levels. But yeah, so maybe. I also don't think that like, while it's a thing, I don't think it's a big enough deal to like put the spanner in the works on this.
Right.
I don't think it's a huge problem. Like, it's a bit of entertaining trivia and a bit of a fun way to get some stuff done, but it doesn't matter, in my opinion.
You just want to cheat.
Cheaters.
That's all you want to do. Cheaters usually prosper.
Yeah. Well, and there's also, like, I was thinking this when I was saying this. J Canuck 73 in chat says there are no more realm firsts. So, because of all the realm connections. Right. So maybe, like, there's not even a realm first to worry about. But even if there is, people aren't going to have this PvP gear at level 90.
All right, so they also talked about CC, a bunch of CC stuff and what's going on and changes over there. One of the things they mentioned was that fear was going to be shorter. And we've heard some changes in the past already about Cyclones DR. And why are they changing those particular CCs?
Yeah, it's an interesting, like, I think the problem with Sphere and Cyclone particularly are like really strong CCs. There's a ton of fear in the game right now. A ton of fears in the game right now. Why is fear strong? Because it doesn't break immediately on damage. There's a damage point at which fear breaks. So for sake of argument, let's say a warrior fear breaks on a 100,000 damage, just for sake of argument. If you hit someone for 99,900, wait, I said 100, 99,999 damage, and then hit them for 300k, that 300k hit is the one that breaks the fear. Right. So it's like they should get punched for a lot during fear. It also moves you. It moves you across the map. Like other CCs, you're sort of stuck in place, or you're like moving around like a sheep, or Hex, you can control where you go. CC is like, bye, off you go. So not only do you have the time that takes you out of the game, you've also got the time it takes to get back into the game. And obviously, if you're a caster or a warrior, then that's less significant. But it's a really strong CC. And obviously, Cyclone completely removes you from the playing field. You can't be
Cyclone is awesome. Cyclone is awesome.
Awful. It's
Cyclone is
awful.
awesome. It's
Awful.
awesome.
I will come
Awesome.
over there and
As
kick
long
you in
as
the
you're
shin.
playing a druid, it's fine.
Yeah, as long as you're playing
Right?
a druid, it's great.
Because right now Cyclone is its own little category of things, and so unfortunately they're making it so that you can dispel it. For
if you're a
warlords,
priest,
right? Yeah,
if you're a priest or a paladin, basically you can dispel it.
But it is dispellable, which is really horrible, and I think that it totally ruins the game. But whatever. And it's always been on its own little separate diminishing returns thing as well. But now they're trying to simplify all the different CC, and so it's kind of cool.
Yes.
Because now they're bringing everything into, I think it's 8 categories. And
5 to be 5 actually.
Oh, it's 5.
Yeah.
It's 5?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. So even less than I thought.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is very cool. So, and that means and that's going to mean some really good things for PvP moving forward. And it's kind of exciting stuff. I think it'll mean that everyone will be CC'd less.
Yes.
I think.
Yeah, for
during
sure.
Everything. So.
And I think it's just like Cyclone is incredibly strong, and that's the reason why those I would say that Cyclone is, if not the most powerful CC in the game right now, it's one of the most powerful CCs in the game. Because it makes you unhealable, it makes you undispellable. It also just stops you taking damage, which is nice, but it's just completely removable, and it's spammable. Obviously it DRs with itself, but it's a spammable CC that druids have. Pat is making the most annoying thumbs up face. I'm going to kick him in the shins at BlizzCon. But yeah, so Cyclone's really strong. They're just taking these really powerful CCs and toning them down. So they're talking about putting Cyclone on the same DR sphere, which is pretty awesome as far as I'm concerned. But yeah, they're also talking about reducing diminishing returns categories. They're currently 13.
Yeah.
Which is quite a lot.
There's a lot. There's a lot.
So they're condensing a lot of those. And in the WoW source thing, I'd also heard 8 in the past, but Helinka actually said 5, which is great. It just makes CC so much easier to understand for newer players. It's just so now I don't have to remember that paralysis DRs with Hex, even though one is a thing that puts you in a load of spikes and the other one makes you a frog that can run around. I don't have to remember these arbitrary links quite so in depth, and that's awesome. That's a really, really, really good change. I'm so excited about a lot of the CC changes they're making in Warlords.
What do you guys think about the Pat won't care about this, but what does Olivia care? What do you care about the CC changes they talked about, saying that more CC was needed CC was needed in PvP? Yeah,
it was actually something that Ian Hazacosta said, and everyone was I got a bunch of people, I tweeted about that, and I was yeah, I agree with this, and a bunch of people tweeted me back saying, what is Ian Hazacosta even doing talking about PvP? He's a raid designer. It's spoilers, guys. These guys have fingers in a lot of different pies, and Ian has he has done some serious PvP. If you're into PvP, Ian and Nadagast used to hate each other because they faced off all the time. He's done a lot of PvP. He knows his stuff. He plays the game a lot. But yeah, so
I thought Blizzard employees weren't allowed to play.
Yeah, they can't play at all.
Well, obviously now he works at Blizzard, he can't. But before he did, But yeah, they do. I do think that CC needs to be toned down a lot from where we are now, and that's what they're doing, which is great. But they do need CC. CC needs to be a thing that exists, because otherwise, all you've got is a race between damage and healing, and that's boring. If it's a case of, all right, there's no CC. Let's imagine for a second there's no CC in the game. Pat's playing a damage dealer. I'm playing a healer. It's literally a matter of whether I can keep myself healed more than Pat can do damage, or whether Pat can do damage more than I can keep myself healed. That's it. That's the whole game, and that's boring. So I definitely agree that CC is something that they need in the game. And I don't know, I would be interested to see if Pat has opinions on this.
Well, first of all, if I was playing a DPS and you were playing a healer, you wouldn't stand much of a chance at all. But you'd do well. Pretty well, but you'd end up dying. Yeah, eventually.
But I'd run out of mana eventually. It's just a matter of time.
And I agree too. I think that CC actually plays a really good part in all parts of the game. So in PvE stuff, I love being able to CC some ads so that we can really control them and put them in the exact position that we want them for whatever the encounter calls for. And that's always good, and I can totally see it in PvP as well. I know that in every game that I play, I kind of look for those opportunities. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think like that's something that I really miss is the actual use of CC and PvE content. Like there's a couple of situations in Siege of Orgrimmar where it's like actually kind of a good idea. Like the trash leading up to Garrosh is kind of a good idea to CC some of those.
Right, and some of the Nazgrim ads and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
So-
exactly. Like that's so there's points at which using CC is useful. I miss it in dungeons. I miss those Zandalari heroics, man. I miss the point where you have to be like, right, let's CC this, CC that, then we'll CC this. As these guys run across, we need to CC two of them. Like, I miss that. I miss that difficult gameplay with CC.
Well, I don't think that necessarily a lot of people think that the Cataclysm dungeons, really need to come back in that kind of full force. But it would be nice to see them come back a little bit like that.
Yeah, like a halfway house. Like they mentioned before
Yeah,
about
yeah.
Vortex Pinnacle, and like you
Right.
have to CC the dang it, what are they called? The one they begin with an A. That the healer priest type ones in that dungeon. I'm sure chat room knows
Oh.
already. But it's going to drive me insane. Adept, the Temple Adepts.
Yes.
You have to you kind of have to CC those, and like if you're a priest, you can dominate mine them off the side. It's so funny.
Right.
But yeah, like that sort of like that level of you really ought to CC this. Like it's not going to be the end of the world if you don't. It's going to make it a lot harder. And then like in the one that's under the sea,
What?
Throne of Tides.
Oh yes.
You have to CC the healer ads there, the like little Naga type healer ads there, and that sort of level of CC is cool. Personally, I really love the Zandalari heroics. They've been my favorite dungeons in the game. But I know that I'm not among the big majority.
All right, next up, there's some more PvP news this week. We got the first look at the new PvP zone map in Warlords, Ashran.
Yeah.
There's a map. Holinka gave us a bunch of information about it and about how it would look. But first, let's take a look at this map. Obviously, if you can't read, it says "work in progress."
Right. In big letters so that we all know what's going on.
This is final, guys. Wait.
This is totally final.
This is what it's going to look like. It's just going to be grey. It's just going to be grey sand.
Right.
With red
2D.
buildings and yellow roads.
It's a 2D gray and blue map.
Yeah.
It's top-down view. And
Yeah.
it's roguelike. So it'll be different every time. So really, this map has nothing to do with anything. So we should just scrap it. No.
Right,
What are we looking at here?
So if you'll notice at the top and bottom, you see a red and a blue building. Those are the two hubs for the Horde and the Alliance, respectively. I mean, choose your color wisely, of course.
Yeah.
And then there are going to be a bunch of like little fort areas. It looks like, and and then there's like one main big road, and then there's going to be some offshoot sides where there is nothing going on. And that could be fun for, say, some questing or doing some other things that don't really necessarily relate to PvP.
Yeah. So like the way I'm looking at it is it's kind of like you've got the Horde in the North, Alliance in the South, and you've got this long run down the middle. I don't like a lot of people are saying, oh, it's just like Alterac Valley. I don't think it's going to be that big. I don't think it's going to feel like Alterac Valley. They were very, very clear in the WoW Source podcast thing that they weren't making another battleground. So, like, you can see, if you look at the map, you've got the Horde building at the top, and then you've got those sort of two towers with, like, the sort of, like, shaded ring around them going down the central road. You've got 1, 2, and then you've got two purplish ones, and then the Alliance building at the bottom. And I assume that those are Alliance towers and Horde towers. Does it look like an ARAM to anyone else? Is it just me who got a sort of, it's kind of like an ARAM? Like the sort of whole pushing back and forth down one lane, but then you've got these peripheral objectives off to the side, the sort of I can't actually read them. Unfortunately, it's too small on my screen. Oh wait, I brought it up bigger over here. So you've got the Forge, the Ogre Tower, the Cemetery, the Quarry, and then you've got the Arena and the King's Throne, which seems to be like something else. Like I'm a little bit confused by those. We'll get to why. But yes, you've got these peripheral objectives, but I kind of feel like the sort of big central push. And it looks like there are tanks there too. So maybe you've got like creeps, like NPCs. Like I just looked at this and thought, okay, this kind of looks like an ARAM. And I'm really, if that's what it is, I'm really excited. If that's what it is.
Well, they did talk about how they were going to be going up and down the main road is going to be kind of the big push, and that there will be plenty of NPCs that will be fighting each other along the way. So,
yes, it could just be that I've been playing a lot of Heroes of the Storm.
Yeah, exactly.
So I looked at this and thought, oh, obviously ARAM, but yeah, that could be completely like full of.
That'd be really cool if they kind of built it like that. Yeah, that would be awesome.
Yeah, that would be amazing. And like, I mean, as far as I understand, at least, it's kind of like a constant thing. It's not going to be like, it's not going to like it's obviously going to have to end. Like you're going to capture one or the other, but like it's all this vague snippets and stuff. But as far as I know, it's not going to be. Well, as far as I've heard anyway from chatting to people, it's not going to be like Wintergrass where it's like, okay, this one's done. Wait 2 hours. Or like Tolbrad, where it's like, okay, this one's done. Raid the dungeon for 2 hours. Or
yeah, this one's
same with Wintergrass with False Sparkle, but. I feel like this is going to be a more of a sort of ongoing thing, and it's like you're going to be able to do stuff at these other peripheral places to gather resources and strengthen your effort, and you're going to be able to earn honor. And the map. Oh, Shafnit in chat has just pointed out the map says major and minor creep, so there are creeps. It's ARAMs, and wow, Dota has finally arrived. We called it.
It does say, yes. Wow, it's right at the bottom there, major minor creep. Yep, there you go.
There we go. And there's generals. So, there's generals in each room. So I feel like it's it's going to be like ARAMs. When you get to the end, you have to kill like a dude inside the tower. But yeah, I'm so excited. I'm so excited by this. Like, if it does turn, like, it's possibly the case that we're totally wrong and it's nothing like that at all. But I'm assuming that that's what it's like. And on that basis, I'm really excited.
So I mean, it sounds like it's going to be this ongoing thing, and from a PvE standpoint, that kind of throws up a flag for me, because I wonder how they're gonna. I think they need to time it out a little bit more, or have some kind of timed event, so that it brings people back.
I'm sure it will be timed. Like I'm sure there'll be a timed element to it. I just don't think it's going to be like Tolbarad, where you have this gap where nothing happens for 2 hours. That's right. That's all I'm sort of getting the impression of.
Yeah. It does sound like there's going to be a lot more going on, kind of on this island, no matter what, and it'll be open to the public, not just to the winning side, which is
yeah, for sure. Like I don't think you're going to own the island. I think it's just going to be a case of like you kill the general, you get some loot, you get some points, you get some gear, and then a little while later it starts again. Right. Or like maybe you get like some time on the island to farm stuff or something along those lines, and then it starts again fairly quickly. I'm kind of just hoping that it's not like a 2-hour break as well, because I feel like it would be more fun to just be constantly pushing backwards and forwards.
Yeah.
There was also we also got this. There's also a data mined map of the island that we just saw today. The arena looks pretty prominent.
Yeah, like if we assume that this corresponds. Like, this corresponds to the map that we just had up. Like, that arena space is very prominent. Like, it kind of makes me wonder if that's another, like, a new arena map or something else entirely, because I know it's an objective that's marked on this, like, MS Paint, for want of a better word, map. But then it's, like, it's just a sort of minor thing there, but it's super prominent on that one. So
maybe it's kind of like a Gurubashi type of arena. Or something like that.
It totally could be. And also you've got this King's, like if you look at the previous map that we were looking at before, you've got the arena, and then that sort of draws a straight line across the map which intersects with others but doesn't necessarily look like it doesn't necessarily have junctions with them, to this King's Throne thing on the other side, which has a world boss in it. So I'm wondering if those are like maybe a PvE, PvP objective type of thing that you can, and actually that makes me think, looking at that it will actually reset like Tolbarad does, because if there's a world boss there, I feel like you have to own the place to do it. But maybe there's some kind of thing that you can do in the PvP side of things in this arena as well. That would be awesome. Like little fight, like a Brawler's Guild type of thing almost, maybe.
Oh, that'd be cool. Yeah.
We also heard about dedicated zones for testing max level PvP content. What do you guys think? What do you guys think of that?
It's awesome.
This is really cool, actually, because if you can have max level an area for max level tunes to be able to test out different like all the gear that's going to be coming up within the expansion, and really try to test out what's going to be happening at the end of the expansion, as you get all of your gear. Try it all on and try to beat each other to hell. This will give you an idea as far as how tuning might change through the course of the expansion.
Mm-hmm.
And that is really very interesting. I'm glad that they're doing it, actually, because it gives them a little bit more of a roadmap to go by.
Yeah, for sure. And it's just also like one of the big things which they sort of have a habit of doing is like PvP content gets tested really late just because of how like the game works. So getting PvP content tested early will hopefully give them the impetus to do things like damage passes earlier on. And they'll be able to find stuff like, for example, Stampede. Like that went into the game broken. People saw it was broken on the beta and they did nothing about it because they weren't able to test it enough and they thought it would be fixed in the damage passes that they did. Turns out it was actually just broken. It was a bug. But maybe if they can actually get these max level PvP exclusive or PvE exclusive zones done, like this, from what I understand from the WoW source, they're going to be using them just for PvP testing and just for raid testing. So you can make a character on this, but you can't go do dungeons. You just have to do raids at testing time, and you can only you can only zone into PvP on those max level characters. So I'm excited for that because I just feel like it's going to make the PvP testing way better. So you want to have a character at max level all the time, you got to do PvP.
Yep, it's going to make all the testing really pretty clean now, and I think that that's kind of the most exciting thing for everybody to know as we go through the beta process too. So
yeah,
it'll be
lastly, we heard a bit more about skirmishes. I think this is scaring some people. So they're going to be rewarding bags containing honor gear and maybe even conquest.
Yeah.
So what does that mean for RBGs?
For random BGs, it is definitely like if you could, particularly if you're Horde in the US servers, battleground queues are crazy long, like crazy long for Horde on US servers right now. So if you could do a random battleground and get a chance at a bag which has honor gear, maybe some conquest, and like maybe some gear, maybe some honor points, and it might take you like 20 minutes to get into that battleground, you've got a pretty good chance of winning if you're Horde on US servers right now. Like we've seen some stats from other sites and are like, you know, showing that Horde win more than Alliance do. But so that battleground might still take you half an hour. That's an hour of time for one bag. Or you do a skirmish that maybe takes 5 minutes.
Yeah.
What do you do? And like the answer is you do the skirmish. But I feel like they just have to fix the numbers. And I also feel like it's awesome. Like I'm so excited about skirmishes. I can't even. I can't even.
I think everybody is. Everybody really wanted skirmishes to come to the, you know, come back, and now they've come back and they're like, yes, let's do this. Okay. Yeah. Sounds great.
Yeah, for sure. I'm so hoping that they're going to award XP from them. I'm so hoping. I don't think Brian Helinka's in chat anymore. But if you listen to this, Brian Helinka, I will bake you another 1,000,000 cookies if you give me XP.
1 million.
Whoa. Whoa.
You
1
give me
million.
XP from Battlegrounds. There was an item squish, so obviously that affected the cookies. So the 26 I made him already is 1 million.
So you take the 1,000,000 cookies and then you'd squish that down to, I think it's like 20 cookies. It's like 24 cookies.
Yeah,
Pretty
exactly.
much.
Yeah,
I will bake you 24 cookies if you make Skirmishers Award XP, because I will never do questing ever again.
I'd be very
Unless, of course, those garrisons you need it for garrisons.
Oh, yeah.
That we talked about last week.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, God.
All right, we still got some more to go through tonight. But first, I want to take a second and tell you about GameBreaker.tv/deals. That is our deals page today. Yes, if you guys are Dark Souls fans, Dark Souls 2 came out, and we still have a deal for 25% off on Dark Souls 2. All you gotta do is head over to GameBreaker.tv/deals, where we got a whole bunch of deals. That's just one of the deals, but that just came out today. So that's a great deal. 25% off just released on PC this afternoon. Another great deal we got going on right now, if you guys are looking for to check out the WildStar. I think a lot of World of Warcraft fans are curious and want to see what the WildStar is all about. So we've got 20% off on that one. Same thing, just head on over to GameBreaker.tv/deals. There's a bunch of other games there. There's a console game, some hardware. Those are the two right now that everybody's just going crazy for, WildStar and Dark Souls 2. So check it out. Go ahead over there, GameBreaker.tv/deals, and check back every day because there's new deals every single day. There's at least a deal or two every single day updated on that page, so go check it out. All right, so we mentioned it earlier, but a day after that WoW source, we had the latest additions to the Warlords of Draenor patch notes with some interesting information on active mana regen, basically the shaman. I was gonna say shaman. I would have been corrected.
Yeah, don't say shaman, Gary.
I would have been corrected.
Don't do it.
Basically, the shaman glyph telluric currents is being brought in for everyone with different spells. So every class is getting a telluric currents style ability. All right, Liv, tell what is telluric currents all about? What is it? How does it work?
Telluric currents is a shaman ability that basically, when you cast a lightning bolt, it refunds you mana. It was glyph for a while, and it became very, very strong in Dragon Soul. And it's currently still a glyph, I believe. Yes, sorry, it is currently still a glyph. It's going to be stopped being a glyph and become baseline for Resto. And basically, when you cast and a lightning bolt lands, it will reward you mana. The reason it got too strong was because it used to scale off the damage that lightning bolt did. So if you were in plus damage phases, like for example, thinking of Kata examples, Magmor, when he got skewered, his head took plus X% damage. So that your lightning bolt would then refund mana based off the damage it did. So you could basically, like, again, you could, on any of the, like the Deathwing platforms, the Deathwing Islands, on Madness of Deathwing, where you had the things that took additional damage, you could basically just fill your mana bar up 5 times in that fight. And it got too strong. But basically, it's a thing that you cast a damaging ability, and it refunds you mana in order to allow you to do more healing.
Yes. And they're doing this same thing for priests. I know for disc priests, I think it's for penance. Every time it lands, it'll refund like 1.5% of your mana. And for druids, the interesting thing is they're bringing back Innervate, and the way that they have it in the patch notes right now is that it will refund you 2.5% of your mana every 4 seconds for 8 seconds. So essentially, you get 5% back, and there's no cooldown on it. But the kick is that you cannot spend any mana on healing spells during that time. You cannot heal at all. It's the weirdest thing ever.
It's weird, yeah. But it's like I assume that means you can't cast them. Like if your rejuve ticks during that period, that's not gonna cause you a problem with that.
Right. It's spending mana for healing spells during that time. So you can do damage spells. You can like dot up some things or whatever, but you can't actually heal anybody during those 8 seconds if you want that full mana regen. But the nice thing is there's no cooldown for it, so you can just hit it whenever.
Yeah,
so,
that's really cool. That's
cool.
really cool. I think that they obviously I just chatted with someone in chat about this. The reason they're to current style is because there's active regeneration. Like these are put into the patch notes under active mana regeneration abilities. Instead of using Innovate every now and then when it's off cooldown to get some mana back, you're actually going to be using it intelligently and actively. That's the key, is that word, active. It's like active mitigation for tanks.
And during BlizzCon last year, they talked about how they were going to try to get rid of all this stuff, or how they were going to, as part of the ability bloat, they were going to try to get rid of these things. Well, they found out that, okay, maybe we should actually have these in just in case, but let's make it a funky, interesting decision instead of okay, you have to use it here. So, and I think that they've done that pretty much. With all the spells that I've really kind of taken a look at, it seems like it's an interesting way to do it.
Yeah.
I think Disc Priest probably will get away with a lot more, but whatever. I don't mind.
Yeah, I mean, these things happen. It's like it's not the end of the world by any stretch of the imagination. I think it's it's like, I don't know. I like this. I'm excited about this. I loved Telluric Currents. I loved it, and in Kata, I knew it was overpowered in Dragon Soul, but like, what are you gonna do? I mean, I still used it, but like, it's just a case of do you want active random regeneration, active mitigation for tanks? It makes sense, and it means that mana can become a meaningful resource again as well, which is pretty cool. Right,
and I think that's the main goal for all of this stuff. So.
Yeah.
What do you guys So I guess with the exception of the Paladin one, they require healers to stop healing and do damage.
Well, the Druid one is the Druid one as well doesn't actually require them to do damage. It's just that you can only do damage during that phase.
Yeah.
That period. So if you want to use mana, you have to you push the button for Innovate, and then you have to cast Wrath, for example. And you can't cast heals. Like, it's actively saying, no, you cannot cast heals. You can only cast damage.
No heals for you.
Yeah, the Shaman one requires you to cast Lightning Bolt, so you need a target to cast Lightning Bolt on. The Priest one requires you to cast either Smite, Holy Fire, or Penance.
Right.
And the... I'm going to look at it now because I can't remember what the other one was. What did I cover? Oh, Paladin one. Divine Plea is just a sort of push button, spend Holy Power, get mana, swap. Yeah, and the Monk one, there we go. The Monk one is a DPS ability as well. That requires you to cast Crackling Jade Lightning.
Yeah.
So those ones
it's all
require
DPS
you to...
related.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Those ones require you to do damage, which is an interesting one because, like, for one, like, it requires you... Like, I've definitely had problems on my Shaman in the past, in dungeons particularly, where I'm like, God damn it, I'm so low on mana. There's nothing I can shoot. Like, there's nothing I can zap with my Lightning Bolt in order to get my mana back up. So, like, and particularly, like, in raid transition phases, like, if you have something like the Paladin one or the Druid one are good for that, but the Shaman one, the Monk one, the Priest one, not so much. It's kind of an interesting thing. And I also think that there's an element there of people being like, oh, well, this isn't what I want to do. I'm a healer. I want to heal stuff. I don't want to have to do damage to get my mana back up. And I can completely understand that. I mean, I don't know, like I'm really excited about it. But what's your take on it, Pat?
Well, I think that the play is that they don't necessarily want you to hit these buttons, right? So they don't want you to do these different things where you feel like you have to do damage. And I think with the mana regen that they're putting forward for Warlords, plus the triage style healing or whatever you want to call it, for that as well, is going to change the way that the game is. So don't think about it like in today's meaning of what this could mean for today's game, because it's going to totally go out the window as soon as 6.0 hits, right? So we have to take a look at it in a new light, and I don't think that the objective is going to be, hey, you have to actively regen your mana. No, it's, okay, if you get low, here's ways to get your mana back, but hopefully you won't need them all that much.
For sure, and also it's like again, going back to talking about Shaman healing and Cataclysm, it was very much the case that you wouldn't be like, right, I'm going to spend all... It wasn't like Warrior Rage, where you were like, right, I'm going to spend all my mana, I'm going to build all my mana, I'm going to spend all my mana. It was like, oh, I've got a free moment here where I don't actually have to be actively healing. I'm going to cast myself a few lightning bolts. Yep. Or like, if you're a druid, I don't have to actively be healing right now. I'm going to push my innovate. I'm going to, I'm going to take this 3 holy power, which I got, and then I'm going to turn that into mana instead of into a word of glory or a light of dawn.
Right. I mean, if you're in a dungeon, it would be between mobs, between packs of mobs. You just hit the button and you go, all right, cool.
Yeah, for sure. Like, you know that there's you've killed off most of a pack of mobs in a dungeon, so you're just going to be like, right, I'm just going to regen my mana, I'm just going to cast my Lightning Bolt, my Wrath, my Holy Fire, Holy Fire, Smite, Penance onto these things, Crackling Jade Lightning for a little bit, just because I know I don't have to be actively healing right now. Like, it's cool. Yep. It's fun. Like, to me, it's good. But I can understand that our chat room is like, no, this is going to make everyone stop being healers. Like, give it a chance, A. But I can understand why people... I can understand why people don't like it. Like, it's introducing a different chunk of gameplay into a role that people are like, no, I'm here because I want to heal.
And I just don't think it's going to play that major of a role in this whole thing anyway, so I'm not putting too much weight behind it yet until we get into the beta and really kind of check it out. So
yeah, I'm hoping that Telluric Currents might be a thing that you can do in PvP. Like, those kinds of things will be relevant for PvP. I think that'd be really fun.
That'd be cool.
Yeah.
All right, so last up this week, we got some more information about garrisons. It actually turns out, contrary to what was said at BlizzCon, you can't just put them anywhere. Instead, lead game designer Corey Stockton was tweeting yesterday, the Horde will have their garrisons set in Frostfire Ridge, and the Alliance ones will be set in Shadow Moon Valley. So, players, kind of disappointed about this.
Yes, well, I hope that all players like either Snow or Darkness, because that's what you're going to get with your garrison. Snow and or Darkness. That's it.
Yes. And if you like Snow and our Alliance,
tough. Like
if
Darkness
you like
more.
Darkness and our Horde,
right.
First world problems.
First WoW problems.
First WoW problems, man.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's kind of like, but the thing is, I can completely understand why players are disappointed by this. Like the whole, like the notion of I'm going to build my house, I'm going to put my house where I want to put my house. Like that's cool. Like I can understand that's cool. That's something that people want. And like a bunch of people were like, oh, I wanted to put in Spires of Arak, and like, yeah, it's a really cool place. And like people who were raiders would be like, oh, I want to put it right by the entrance to the raid. So like, here's my Garrison, like here's a place that I heart to. I can completely understand why people are super disappointed about this, particularly because it sort of adds that identity of it being my house that I chose to build where I wanted to put it. Like having a half hill style thing, which is just a phased zone for everyone else, just makes it feel a little bit less personal, I think.
Mm-hmm. They also talked a bit about how the choice of zone is actually going to affect like somewhat like how customizable it is, at least. Yeah,
so they were talking about how your choice of zone, as presumably as you level, is going to affect how customizable it is. Like, so if you go through Spires of Arak, you may get an option. I don't know, like I can imagine maybe getting an option for a roof with a spire on it, or something along those lines. So there is at least sort of some personalization regarding the areas that you go through. Which is like, and there's a lot of people in chat, and I can see this coming, like $25 to recustomize your Garrison in the in-game store. Like, yeah, based on Blizzard's current activities regarding us and our money, then yes, I can see that coming for sure.
That will never happen, Olivia. How dare you? How dare you? They will never. But that is a really good idea. I think they should write it down.
Yeah, yeah, and before they actually do that.
Right.
Pat, pertaining to what you were talking about before, there's also some tweets floating around about them possibly looking into things like skyboxes and things like that to change up the skyboxes, so maybe to alleviate some of your concerns about how dark it is and things like that. I don't know. Would that suffice for you?
I'd love a skybox. A skybox would be wonderful. A place in the clouds? Is that what they're talking about?
Yeah, man. That's so cool.
It's a place in the clouds. Yes, I want to not be able to see a damn thing ever. Just sky.
You probably should explain what a skybox is.
Yeah, skybox is the thing. Like, do you remember the ship boss just before Deathwing? What was he called, Pat? The bull dude. He summoned ads, had cannons and towers. Apparently, I can't remember the name of the single boss.
Captain Fancy Pants. Yeah, him.
Captain. I can't remember boss names tonight.
It was Black. It was Black something.
My brain just keeps going Black Fuse. It's not it.
No, that isn't it.
Damn it!
How dare you bring up all these raid bosses without warning me first?
Come on, chat room.
I have to.
Chat room, you're like 40 seconds behind. This is the worst.
I know.
Anyhow, that shit boss. You all know who we're talking about.
Yeah.
Like, Blackthorn! There we go. Thanks, Alex Zardros. Thanks very much. But like if you fell off that ship, you would see this sort of bubble as you fell away, and that was the clouds that were around the ship. Like the ship was in a bubble of clouds in the world floating in the sky.
Yes.
And like Azeroth itself is coated in a bubble of clouds, just like the atmosphere. And the skybox is that, like it's how the stuff moves around the area. Like that freaky thing, if you look up in Pandaria, you've got that freaky sort of smoke thing just going up into there. All the people now are raging, like saying, look at chat. Do you realise how far behind chat room is from what we're actually talking about, you guys? It's like 40 seconds. But anyway.
And it's Black Horn, it's not
Black Horn. There we go, Black Horn.
Yes.
But yeah. Anyhow, so it's the skybox is the thing, like the rotating layer of sky that goes over the world. So I guess when he's talking about skyboxes, he's talking about like day and night potential. Like maybe they can change it up so it's not always cloudy and shady in the cloudy, shady alliance zone. Maybe it can be bright and sunny some days. Or maybe you can customize your skybox for your phased Garrison. Like you can have, like you can go out and go onto the in-game store and buy a new sky for $25.
I think it'd be more than $25.
$125.
$125. That is more like it. Really. If you want to live in the sky,
would that fix that for you though? For you though, Pat?
No, it's not going to fix it for me. Because one of the things is that I don't really care where it's at because I'm going to do my thing. I'm gonna try to min-max garrisons as much as is needed for raiding, and that's what I'm going to do. So that's my decision, and I'm sure that Trekkie has already made that decision as well. I'm going to do what I have to do to make this work for what I want to do in game. And everything else, who cares?
Who cares?
Power through. Power through. That's what I'm gonna do.
What do you guys mean? There's also some talk about them adding the ability to move them at max level later in the expansion, right? I mean,
That'd be cool.
What do you think?
That'd be cool if they could do that. I would
Yeah,
love
that'd be
for them to
awesome.
do that.
Yeah,
So
that'd be awesome.
Then I could move it right next to the raid entrance. That would be awesome.
Yeah,
Right.
it kind of makes me wonder if they just ran out of time on that feature. Like,
Yeah.
maybe they were building it and they were just like, right, crap, you know, we don't actually want this to release after BlizzCon. We just need to get this done faster. So therefore, we're just gonna be like, all right, what can go wrong? What can stop? Like, what can we put in later? What's addable at a latter point in the game? The ability to move them. So maybe that's just what happened here, is they just ran out of time.
We
Who
shall
knows?
see. We shall see. All right, gang. We are taking a few weeks. We're going on hiatus for a little while. It's the last episode for a while, so not sure. Just keep an eye on the Twitters and the Facebooks and all that stuff, and we'll talk about what's going on in the future. Lots of crazy, conflicting schedules going on. Mr. Pat Crane is moving, but of course, don't forget Sunday mornings at 9 a.m. Pacific. You got the Convert to Raid, and that is not going anywhere. So
That
you'll
is
be
not
here.
going anywhere. We're still going to be there Sundays, bright and early Pacific time, 9 a.m. Come join in on the fun. It's a good time.
Yep, so don't forget, go to convertraid.com. You can check out the video or the audio, and of course, we post the video up on gamebreaker.tv on Mondays as well, so that's always there. So go over to convertraid.com. Olivia D. Grace, follow her at Olivia D. Grace on the Twitters, and everywhere else on the interwebs, all over, everywhere.
She's everywhere.
Pretty much.
She's everywhere. It's scary.
Pretty much. Follow me
Especially when she
again.
whispers it.
Follow Gamebreaker TV, Gamebreaker TV. Check out gamebreaker.tv/deals, and we will see you soon. Later.